In football, the term hat-trick is used to define when one player achieves the incredible feat of scoring 3 goals in a single game. The goals don't need to be scored in succession, and it doesn't matter whether they are scored during normal regulation time or extra time. Given that scoring goals is the chief aim of any attack-minded player, there's a particular satisfaction to be gained by scoring 3 times in one match. Due to the relative rarity of the feat, it has become tradition for players who score a hat-trick to be given the match ball as a symbolic reward or memento. Bagging 3 is an achievement in itself, while netting the perfect hat-trick, one with your left foot, one with the right foot, and the other with your head, is something special, but nothing compares to scoring all 3 of your goals in a very short space of time. Welcome to Football Attitude's 11 of the fastest Premier League hat-tricks. 11. Yannick Bolasie, 11 minutes. In the 2014-15 Premier League season, Crystal Palace winger Yannick Bolasie scored the fastest hat-trick of the campaign as Palace beat Sunderland 4-1 at the Stadium of Light. It was the 7th Premier League hat-trick that season, but the first by an individual playing away from home. It was also the first ever Premier League hat-trick from a Palace player and the club's second in the top flight since Ian Wright's treble against Wimbledon in 1991. The match itself was goalless at halftime, and there had been few chances for either team, but would go on to deliver in the second half. After 48 minutes, Bolasie's deflected cross from the right would meet striker Glenn Murray at the far post, who headed the ball in to put Palace ahead. In the 51st minute, Murray turned provider with a flick-on header which perfectly fell on the path of Bolasie, and the Congolese winger cleverly poked the ball through the legs of Sunderland keeper Costel Pantilimon. 2 minutes later, Bolasie outmuscled defender John O'Shea in pursuit of another ball over the top, and then proceeded to outrageously chip the keeper for his second of the game. By now, the Eagles were flying, and in the 61st minute, the home fans would be subjected to more misery. After the powerful Murray got the better of a struggling O'Shea, he played Bolasie, who slipped as he was confronted by the shotstopper Pantilimon. Despite pressure from defender Santiago Vergini, Bolasie persisted on to stab the ball into the empty net and complete his quick-fire treble in 11 minutes. 10. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, 10 minutes. Solskjaer, the so-called baby-faced assassin, was known for his ability to impact a game from the bench, and against Nottingham Forest in 1999, his uncanny ability was on full display. With the score 4-1 to Manchester United, he was subbed on in the 72nd minute for Dwight Yorke, who himself had bagged 2 goals. In the 80th minute, David Beckham passed the ball to the overlapping Gary Neville, who in turn produced a fine low cross from the right that evaded everybody in the 6-yard box until it reached Solskjaer at the far post, who made no mistake tapping in for his first of the game. 8 minutes later, Solskjaer again found himself on the score sheets. An offside-beating run to meet a wonderful long ball from Beckham put himself one-on-one with Forest goalkeeper David Bessens. His initial shot was finally saved, but the loose ball fell kindly back to Solskjaer, who proceeded to go past the keeper before producing a fine finish into the top corner of the open net. He would complete his hat-trick in the 90th minute after Paul Scholes found him with space on the left. Solskjaer brilliantly settled himself with a perfect first touch with his left foot before striking a ferocious volley with his right to complete a 10-minute hat-trick. The striker would score one more goal in stoppage time as United obliterated Forest 8-1. It was the biggest Premier League away victory at the time, thanks to a ruthless display from the then 25-year-old Norwegian. 9. Teddy Sheringham, 10 minutes. During the 2000-2001 Prem season, Man United icon Teddy Sheringham gave a scintillating display in a 5-0 rout of Southampton. His first goal came about in first half stoppage time as Paul Scholes dragged 2 defenders with him before finding Sheringham unmarked on the left, who then proceeded to produce a lovely chip over the Saints goalkeeper. In the 51st minute, Sheringham got the end of a David Beckham cutback from the right and made no mistake as he took the shot first time, rifling the ball to the top left corner of the net, giving the keeper Jones no chance. A fine team move capped off Sheringham's hat-trick as a strong driving run by Nicky Butt resulted in a pass to Yorke, who accidentally teed up the ball onto the path of the onrushing Sheringham. The striker again showed great composure to send the keeper the wrong way and slot the ball into the bottom right corner, completing his 10-minute hat-trick. 8. Jermaine Pennant, 10 minutes. A player's full debut is always a special occasion, but rarely as special as Jermaine Pennant's in 2003, as Southampton again found themselves on the receiving end of a heavy trouncing, this time courtesy of Arsenal. In the 16th minute, Arsenal midfielder Giovanni Van Bronckhorst set up Pennant on the right and he calmly finished past Saints keeper Paul Jones. 3 minutes later, Pennant again was presented with a goal-scoring opportunity as Thierry Henry's deflected shot was parried straight towards him, making no mistake converting the tap-in for his second. Pennant capped off his hat-trick in the 26th minute after some brilliant work by Henry, who showed great composure to retain the ball under pressure before releasing Pennant perfectly on the right, and from an almost identical position to his first, the then 20-year-old once again produced the goods to seal an astonishing debut hat-trick. Remarkably, the other goals were scored by Ghana's midfielder Robert Pires, who also bagged a hat-trick of his own, making it the first time two players had scored 3 in the same Premier League match. 7. Ian Wright. 9 minutes. Ian Wright had a stellar Premier League career and was one of the deadliest strikers the English top flight had ever witnessed. This was the Arsenal legend's second hat-trick against Ipswich, with the first coming almost a year ago in March 1994. It all kicked off with a cross from the left by Arsenal's Glenn Helder, which was cleared unconvincingly as it fell to Wright, who made no mistake with the half-volley past Ipswich goalkeeper Clive Baker. More poor defending by the Tractor Boys followed 3 minutes later as Wright was allowed to get in front of his marker from a low corner delivery to produce a fine diving header for his second. He would finally seal his hat-trick after capitalizing on a disastrous back pass by Ipswich striker Ian Marshall, despite dogged resistance by goalkeeper Baker. 6. Sergio Aguero. 8 minutes. The City legend will always be remembered as one of the greatest strikers to ever grace the Premier League. Aguero holds the esteemed record for the most hat-tricks in the league, with a total of 12 achieved during his trophy-laden 10-year spell at the Etihad, with his scintillating 5 goals, yes, 5 goals against Newcastle in the 2015-16 season, one of his standout career highlights. Trailing 1-0 initially, Aguero leveled the score in the 42nd minute after David Silva's inch-perfect ball over the top found Fernandinho. The Brazilian midfielder headed it back across goal towards a free Aguero in the 6-yard box, who instinctively headed home. 7 minutes later in the second half, Silva took advantage of a poor turnover of possession by Newcastle in their own half and quickly got the ball to Aguero just outside the box. He again showed great confidence in taking the shot himself, which was then deflected by a Newcastle defender to send it past the wrong-footed Tim Krul. Shortly after, a classic Kevin De Bruyne through ball found the lethal Argentine at the end of a perfectly timed run, and he showed trademark composure to chip it over the diving Krul and into the net. 2 more goals would seal a special 5-goal bonanza by Aguero as City cruised to a 6-1 win at home. 5. Andy Carroll. 7 minutes. Andy Carroll produced his magical feat in just over 7 minutes, coming to West Ham's aid when they were 2-0 down at home to Arsenal. In the 44th minute, Hammers left-back Aaron Cresswell delivered a pitch of a cross into the box, which Carroll headed in after a magnificent leap over the Arsenal defense. The English forward would make it 2-2 minutes later in stoppage time as teammate Mark Noble lofted a ball into the box. Carroll found himself with far too much space as he received the ball, and he finished it with an impressive scissor kick past Arsenal keeper David Ospina. The towering number 9 would complete his hat-trick soon after halftime in the 52nd minute. West Ham's Michail Antonio delivered a cross towards the far post, with Carroll easily outjumping the Arsenal defenders to head the ball past Ospina and turn the game in their favour. Arsenal would later equalise, much to the disappointment of the West Ham fans, with Andy Carroll's heroics only enough for a point in the entertaining London derby. 4. Gabriel Agbonlahor. 7 minutes. Widely considered one of Aston Villa's greatest ever players, Gabi Agbonlahor had a day to remember on the 17th of August 2008 against Manchester City. After teammate John Carew had put the Villains ahead, City equalised through Elano's spot kick. Agbonlahor would restore Villa's lead in the 69th minute after Carew's fine header back across goal from a corner found him for a side-footed finish past City keeper Joe Hart. The City defense was left missing when Agbonlahor again struck in the 74th minute as he was left unmarked, meeting Gareth Barry's cross with a header that kissed the crossbar on the way in. 2 minutes later, a quick counter-attack saw the brilliant Barry thread a perfect through ball to Agbonlahor to set him up one-on-one against Hart. The striker finished for the 3rd time, with the game ending 4-2 in favour of Aston Villa. Gabi's match ball winning performance was a perfect hat-trick, with the first being scored with his right foot the second with his head, and the third with his left foot. 3. Jermaine Defoe, 7 minutes. A remarkable 9-1 victory over Wigan in 2009 saw Tottenham striker Jermaine Defoe score 5 past the Latics, 3 of which came within the space of just 7 minutes. Defoe's first was in the 51st minute as he skillfully met a fine deep cross from teammate Aaron Lennon to finish it in the top corner from close range. He added to his tally after he was through on goal, and from a less than ideal angle, Defoe showed great composure to finish past keeper Steven Kirkland for the second time. The English striker would cap off his hat-trick after some fine work by Lennon down the line before crossing from the right. Defoe was alert and dashed towards the near post before volleying past a hapless Kirkland to complete the personal treble in just 7 minutes, the second fastest in Premier League history at the time. 2. Robbie Fowler, 4 minutes. On the 28th day of August 1994, Liverpool striker Robbie Fowler scored 3 goals in the space of 4 minutes and 33 seconds against London side Arsenal. Fowler would score his first just before the 26-minute mark as Arsenal defender Martin Keown and Liverpool forward Ian Rush's aerial duel resulted in the ball falling kindly to him. The number 23 clad forward made no mistake as he fired a left-footed finish past Arsenal keeper David Seaman. His second came less than 3 minutes later as Liverpool winger Steve McManaman made a 60-yard run from his own half before releasing Fowler, who then proceeded to place his shot perfectly towards the far post beyond the reach of Seaman. Fowler would complete his hat-trick 109 seconds later after teammate John Barnes chipped the ball beautifully over the Arsenal backline, with Fowler relying on his pace. Seaman did well to save his initial shot, but Fowler was alert to the loose ball and quickly tucked it into the open net from a tricky angle to complete a record-breaking hat-trick. 1. Sadio Mane, 2 minutes 56 seconds. The 2014-15 Premier League season was Sadio Mane's first in the top flight of English football. He would end up bagging 10 goals and 4 assists, with 3 of those goals coming in the blink of an eye as Southampton smashed Aston Villa 6-1 in their final home game of the season. Teammate Graziano Pell's header set up Mane as he ran past 2 Villa defenders before firing straight at keeper Shay Given. The rebound fell kindly back to Mane as he tapped it into an empty net in the 13th minute for his first. Immediately afterwards, Villa's Alan Hutton would play a sloppy back pass to Given, who then had to deal with Shane Long after the Southampton forward caught up with the wayward ball. The resulting collision between the two Irishmen left the loose ball up for grabs, and it was the Senegalese Mane who had the quickest reaction to pick it up and fire home into the empty net. That was then followed by a Southampton counter-attack which gave Long the chance to sprint down the left wing before crossing the ball towards an unmarked Mane. The number 10 wasted no time, placing it accurately into the top right corner past the desperate gloves of Given to confirm his hat-trick. The entire sequence was clocked at an astonishing 2 minutes 56 seconds, and it's the fastest ever hat-trick in the history of the Premier League.